when I submitted an expense claim for an inflatable doll. Not a blow up doll, an inflatable person. It was many years ago in the NHS and we were using it in meetings to demonstrate convoluted patient journeys so we could eliminate waste and simplify things. My boss had a sense of humor. In high school, borrowed my parents' van to take my GF on a date. We went out for dinner and then to a friend's for a bonfire. She changed in the van from a skirt tights to sweet pants in between. Next day my dad pulls me aside and he's holding her tights. I start saying, "It's not what it looks like," but he cuts me off and just goes on about, "I want to make sure you guys are being safe, don't worry, I won't tell your mother, etc." At a concert and some dude flicks his roach into the air. When he's done smoking it, the cherry lands right on top of this girl's head, just burning into her hair. I was standing right beside her, so I just immediately swatted the burning ember from her hair. She turns around, along with her boyfriend, and are like, "WTF was that?" I tried to explain that someone had thrown a roach into her hair, but they really didn't seem to believe me. Just thought I was some weirdo who likes to whack women on the top of their heads, I guess. They just turned back around visibly annoyed and walked away. Then some guy behind me is like, "Nice job bro, I watched the whole thing. Why didn't you say something?" when they were questioning me. Anyways, no harm done, but it was a funny story. A coworker hit my vehicle and, rather than go through insurance, I gave him an option to paying cash to avoid an insurance hit. A couple days later he was paying me in the parking lot at night shift workers, and the manager comes out of the office and heads to his car. Came over to see WTF was going on. Totally looked like a drug deal was going down. LOL. Invited my friend on a hike. Needed to get my bottle from the trunk. Forgot that I had to move some painting supplies earlier. The face when your tracksuit wearing Eastern European friend open a trunk lined with garbage bags and rolls, plastic wrap and a hatchet in the middle of woods was priceless, but do not recommend. Hard to argue is no problem. Just had to move messy things. Do not worry. When I was 16, my boyfriend's now husband's parents took me on a beach vacation with them. His dad was kind enough to carry my luggage to my room and his face was bright red. I just thought he was hot. But my boyfriend came in and goes, "Sue, my dad says your luggage is vibrating." I had one of those handheld face washing devices that you put a little makeup remover pad on in my bag, and it had turned on. His poor dad thought I had brought a vibrator. So I actually had my BF take it down and show them what it was so they wouldn't think poorly of me, LOL. We all had a great laugh. A few years ago, I was walking my dogs and they spotted a squirrel and yanked me off my feet. My glasses broke in the fall. I hit my face and scraped my hand quite badly. Cut to a few days later. God knows why, but the wounds have swollen. Most of my face is covered in bruises and one eye is black. I went with my brother to the gun range. It was a previously planned trip, but I can only imagine what the owners thought. Seeing a battered up woman come learn to shoot. I was in a relationship with a girl who was paraplegic and needed a wheelchair. We made a cosplay of the Lamia from Monster Musume, and we went into a part of the convention center that was empty to get a couple shots of the costume before going out into the crowd. At the time we didn't know it was technically off limits, so I help her out of the wheelchair and lay her down so she can get comfortable, and I was wheeling her chair off to the side to be out of sight for the photos. I always duck around too much, and I was pretending to run away while taunting her. I did it all the time and it always made her laugh. I think I said something like, "Good luck trying to leave without your wheels," and before I could turn around to see where I was going, I was getting wrestled to the ground by the convention center security. We cleared it up and slap on the wrist for me cause we were somewhere we weren't supposed to be. Security guards got in more trouble cause they're not supposed to touch people. But their hearts were in the right place since they thought I was robbing a girl who couldn't walk. My dad helped me out by leasing a car for me. He wasn't techy, transferring money into his account wasn't an option, so I always paid him in cash for the car payment. We would meet up to have dinner in a restaurant and I would give him my car payment. Well, this one time, I got to the restaurant and had to go to the bathroom. After peeing, I went to wash my hands and decided to double check my money to make sure I had the right amount of cash. As I'm counting 420s, a guy walks into the bathroom, looks at me, and runs out. I thought how embarrassing, walking into the women's restroom. Then, he proceeds to walk in again, passing me awkwardly. I realize I'm in the men's room, counting cash. When you cook professionally, you run into rampant cases of swamp ass and monkey butt. A well-known way to circumvent this is to throw some cornstarch on your bits and pieces. We kept a box of cornstarch in the office solely for this purpose. I was applying some cornstarch to my balls when a very attractive, very female manager walked into the office. It looked horrible from her perspective. My back was to the door, hand clearly down my pants and circular movement. "What are you doing?" We have cameras in here." Me turning around and trying to explain. "I don't want to know." I brought a hammer to the office to hang a whiteboard. I left it in my laptop bag and forgot to take it out at home. Days later, my boss came up behind me, asked, "Do we have a hammer in the office?" Without thinking, I reached into my bag and handed him the hammer, still looking at the computer screen. A few seconds later, I realized my boss was still standing behind me. I turned around and he was just standing there staring at the hammer. He said, "Seriously, you carry a hammer with your laptop? Are you a serial killer?" Only when people don't give me raises. Only when people question the things I carry in my bag. I got a good one. So my wife is kinda ridiculous and adorable, and I love her very much for it. One day she made me lunch for work and included a note written onto a paper towel that says "I love you" me in Sharpie. So I sit down in the break room at my work and begin eating my lunch. On the table there happened to be another black Sharpie, and I put it and a roll of paper towels together away from my little part of the table. I set up, eat my lunch, and set my wife's paper towel note down next to, I'm sure you can guess, the paper towels and the Sharpie. As I'm eating, a co-worker as well as my boss walk in. I chat with the co-worker and he looks at my wife's note, the paper towels, and the Sharpie. He then proceeds to ask, "Did you write yourself a note?" I looked at the note, the Sharpie and the paper towels, and realize how it must appear. As I have a mouthful of food, I have to frantically explain that no, I'm not in fact in need of serious emotional help. Luckily they both laughed and believed me. I live in not the best neighborhood in Brooklyn, and a few weeks ago I was walking my girlfriend's small black three-legged dog late one night. There's a lot of guys that hang out by a busy corner drinking, smoking on their stoops. One of them went to take a leak by a building's trash area. He was facing the building with his back to me, so as he was peeing, Pepper the dog decided she was going to be stubborn and just sit down. I kept trying to get her to get up so we could go home. As I was calling her and telling her, "Come on, let's go," the guy peeing locked eyes with me through a mirror that was in the trash pile. Yo, what the duck? He couldn't see the dog I was talking to because she was 10 feet behind me in the shadows. He thought I was trying to fight him while I was watching him take a leak. Not at all the case. As he was zipping up and turned around, Pepper hopped up and trotted by and broke all the tension. He was like, "Oh shit, my bad. I didn't know you were talking to the dog." We laughed about it and carried on our separate ways. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.